Most people who wake up at 3 in the morning describe the same strange experience. There is no alarm, no loud sound, no clear reason. And yet, your eyes open. Your body feels heavy, but your mind is suddenly alert. The room feels quieter than usual. Time feels different. Thoughts arrive uninvited. For centuries, humans believed this hour meant something supernatural. Some cultures called it a spiritual hour. Others believed it was a time of danger or revelation. But the truth is far more fascinating. Waking up at 3 in the morning is not mysterious in the way people think. It is biological, psychological, and deeply rooted in how the human brain evolved to survive. Sleep is not a single state. It is a constantly shifting process controlled by forces you never consciously feel. Throughout the night, your brain carefully balances recovery with vigilance. It must allow rest without ever fully abandoning awareness. Around 3 in the morning, this balance becomes fragile. That fragility is why this hour feels so different from waking at any other time. Your circadian rhythm controls when you sleep, when you wake, when hormones are released, and when your body repairs itself. This rhythm is regulated by light exposure, temperature, routine, and genetics. Deep inside your brain, this biological clock has been anticipating morning for hours before you ever wake up. Around 3 a.m., your core body temperature reaches its lowest point. This signals that the deepest part of the night is ending. At the same time, cortisol begins a slow rise. Cortisol is often mislabeled as a stress hormone. In reality, it is a wake preparation hormone. It exists to help you become alert and functional. For many people, this hormonal transition is smooth and unnoticed. But if your nervous system is sensitive, stressed, overstimulated, or emotionally burdened, this subtle shift crosses a threshold. The brain partially wakes up. Not fully, not consciously at first, but enough to pull you out of deep sleep. This timing aligns perfectly with REM sleep dominance. REM sleep becomes longer and more intense as morning approaches. During REM sleep, your brain activity nearly matches waking levels. Emotional centers are highly active. Logical filtering is lower. Memory is reorganized. Identity, fear, and unresolved experiences surface. This is why dreams become more vivid, emotional, and symbolic during the early morning hours. When REM sleep intensifies too much, the brain intervenes. It wakes you up to regulate emotional load. You do not wake up because something external happened. You wake up because something internal became too active. That is why the first thoughts you notice are often worries, unfinished conversations, or emotional memories. These thoughts did not appear because you woke up. You woke up because they were already there. Stress plays a critical role here. A stressed nervous system does not fully shut down at night. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes sense. Ancient humans slept lightly when danger was near. A modern stressed brain cannot distinguish between real predators and emotional threats. It remains alert. At 3 a.m., when alertness naturally rises, that brain tips into wakefulness. Blood sugar regulation is another powerful contributor. During sleep, your body relies on stored glucose. If blood sugar drops too low, the body releases adrenaline and cortisol to compensate. These hormones are designed to wake you quickly. This is one reason people with irregular eating patterns, late-night snacking habits, or unstable blood sugar often wake at the same time every night without knowing why. Alcohol dramatically worsens this pattern. Alcohol sedates the brain but disrupts sleep architecture. It suppresses REM sleep early, then causes REM rebound later. This rebound occurs most strongly between 3 and 5 a.m. During REM rebound, brain activity spikes, heart rate increases, and sleep becomes shallow. You wake up suddenly, mentally alert but physically tired, often with anxiety or racing thoughts. Light exposure reinforces the problem. Melatonin keeps you asleep. Artificial light suppresses melatonin. Even faint light from screens, clocks, streetlights, or electronics can confuse the brain. Over time, this trains your circadian rhythm to shorten sleep and wake earlier. There is also a psychological conditioning effect. When you wake up at the same time repeatedly, your brain learns the pattern. The brain is predictive. It prepares you to wake because it expects it. This is why nighttime awakenings often feel stubborn. The fear of waking becomes embedded into the rhythm itself. It is important to understand something most people never consider. Humans did not evolve to sleep in one uninterrupted block. For most of history, people slept in two phases, often waking quietly in the middle of the night. This period was used for reflection, calm activity, or simply resting consciousness. The idea that waking at night means something is wrong is a modern concept shaped by work schedules, artificial light, and productivity culture. What matters most is your internal state when you wake. Calm awakenings often reflect normal sleep cycling. Alert or anxious awakenings indicate nervous system involvement. This distinction changes how you should respond. Dreams at 3 a.m. are neurologically unique. The brain is integrating emotional experiences into long-term memory. When dreams feel intense, confusing, or symbolic, it is because the brain is reorganizing meaning. If emotional processing spikes too sharply, the brain wakes you as a protective mechanism. This is common during transitions in life, emotional growth, grief, or unresolved conflict. Physical factors also contribute. Minor breathing disruptions, nasal congestion, or airway resistance can cause micro-awakenings without you consciously noticing the cause. Your brain will always prioritize oxygen and safety over seamless sleep. So what should you do when you wake up at 3 in the morning? The most important rule is this: do not treat it as an emergency. The moment you panic, you activate the same nervous system that caused the awakening. Do not check the clock immediately. Knowing the time increases alertness. Do not reach for your phone. Screens signal morning to the brain. Instead, slow your breathing. Longer exhales than inhales activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This tells the brain there is no threat. Let thoughts drift without engaging. Thoughts lose power when they are not chased. If you remain awake for a while, leave the bed calmly. Use minimal light. Do something boring and neutral. This prevents associating the bed with tension and frustration. During the day, stabilize your rhythm. Morning sunlight is one of the strongest circadian anchors. Consistent sleep and wake times matter deeply. Reducing caffeine after early afternoon helps more than most supplements. Stable meals regulate nighttime hormones. Alcohol closer to bedtime does far more harm than people realize. There is also a crucial mindset shift. Stop labeling the awakening as a problem. When the brain senses frustration, it increases vigilance. Acceptance reduces arousal. Paradoxically, the less you fight the awakening, the less frequently it appears. There is another perspective worth considering. 3 a.m. is the quietest psychological hour. No distractions, no expectations, no noise. This is when your mind processes what it cannot during the day. That can feel uncomfortable, but it can also be clarifying. Many people report insights, emotional clarity, or creative breakthroughs during these hours. Your body is not malfunctioning, it is communicating. It is maintaining safety, processing emotion, and regulating balance. When you listen calmly, the system stabilizes, and often once the internal message is processed, the waking stops. Sleep is not something to control, it is something to cooperate with. When you stop resisting your biology, your nights become less unpredictable. There is one more layer to waking up at 3 in the morning that most people never hear about, because it doesn't fit neatly into simple explanations. It involves the relationship between awareness, identity, and the way the brain protects you when the world is quiet. During the day, your brain operates in a filtered mode. It prioritizes tasks, conversations, movement, and external demands. This constant stimulation keeps deeper emotional and existential thoughts pushed into the background. At night, those filters weaken. By 3 a.m., they are at their lowest. That is when the mind shifts inward. This inward shift can feel uncomfortable because the brain is no longer distracting itself. questions that remain unanswered during the day rise naturally. Concerns about purpose, relationships, health, security, and identity no longer have noise covering them. This is not negativity. This is processing. Neurologically, the default mode network of the brain becomes more active during these hours. This network is responsible for self-reflection, memory integration, and future planning. When triggered without distraction, it can feel like worry or overthinking. In reality, it is your brain attempting to create coherence in your life narrative. This explains why people often wake up at 3 a.m. before major decisions, life transitions, or emotional changes. The brain is integrating new identity information. Who you were yesterday no longer fully matches who you are becoming. That mismatch creates internal friction. Sleep interruption is a symptom, not the cause. Another overlooked factor is learned alertness. Modern life trains the brain to anticipate demands. Messages arrive at all hours. Deadlines are constant. Even when asleep, the brain remains prepared for interruption. By 3 a.m., the nervous system briefly checks for threats, responsibilities, or unfinished tasks. If your life feels overloaded, that check becomes conscious. There is also a phenomenon known as anticipatory stress. This happens when the brain begins worrying about the future before it arrives. In the early morning hours, the brain rehearses upcoming events. Meetings, conversations, responsibilities, and conflicts may surface at once. This rehearsal mode evolved to prepare humans for danger, but in modern life, it often fires unnecessarily. Biologically, this moment is also when melatonin begins to fall gradually. Melatonin does not shut off instantly at sunrise. It slowly declines earlier in the morning. If your melatonin production is lower than ideal, whether due to light exposure, stress, aging, or genetics, sleep becomes lighter earlier. Temperature also plays a role. As your body temperature begins to rise slightly toward morning, sleep becomes shallower. This warming is subtle but meaningful. It signals biochemical preparation for waking. Again, most people sleep through this transition. Sensitive systems wake. Sensitivity does not mean weakness. It often means heightened awareness. People who are creative, introspective, anxious, or emotionally intelligent tend to wake at night more frequently because their brains are more responsive to internal signals. There is also a psychological feedback loop that forms after repeated awakenings. The brain begins associating the night with thinking. Thinking becomes the activity. Sleep becomes the interruption. This reversal is subtle but powerful. The goal is not to stop thinking, but to stop interpreting thinking as danger. One of the most effective reframes is this: 3 a.m. is not when something is wrong. It is simply when your mind is undistracted. When you approach it without fear, its intensity often softens. There is also evidence that waking at night is more common during periods of emotional honesty. When you are suppressing less during the day, your mind has less unresolved material to process at night. People often notice that nighttime awakenings decrease after making difficult decisions, ending stressful relationships, or resolving internal conflict. This is why advice that focuses only on sleep hygiene sometimes fails. If the awakening is emotionally driven, no supplement, device, or routine can fully eliminate it. Awareness must happen. Another factor rarely discussed is purpose-driven stress. Humans seek meaning. When life feels misaligned, the brain searches for clarity in quiet moments. 3 a.m. becomes the stage for that search. It is also important to understand that rest does not only happen during sleep. Quiet wakefulness can still be restorative if the nervous system remains calm. Lying awake peacefully is not failure. It is still recovery. The mistake most people make is forcing sleep. Sleep cannot be commanded. It arrives when conditions are safe. Safety is determined by the nervous system, not by logic. This is why slow breathing, acceptance, and non-engagement are so effective. They communicate safety more directly than thoughts ever could. If you learn to meet the 3 a.m. moment calmly, something interesting happens. The awakening becomes shorter, less intense, less frequent. Eventually, it fades entirely or transforms into a brief, neutral pause between sleep cycles. This is not because you fixed a problem. It is because the brain stopped needing to alert you. In a world that never slows down, the early morning hours are one of the last places where the mind speaks honestly. That honesty can feel uncomfortable, but it is also deeply informative. Your body is not broken. Your brain is not malfunctioning. You are not failing at sleep. You are experiencing a system designed to protect, process, and adapt. When you stop resisting that system, it works more smoothly. Sleep is cooperation, not control. And when you understand that, the quiet hour loses its power over you. If this explanation helped you understand your nighttime awakenings, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications so you never miss future deep dives from Explainified. Thanks for watching. Remember, your body knows what it's doing, even when it wakes you in the quietest hour of the night.